breaking. The first 6 jurors have been chosen. Oh my God, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they did that. So they asked them 40 questions. They had to fill 40 questions. Do I believe personally that every single juror on that questionnaire lied? Every single one? That's a lock. They did. There is no way that if I was given the opportunity to be a juror on a Trump hush money trial, that obviously is not going to lock him in jail or anything. But if I had the opportunity to be a part of that, I would be lying my off to try to be like, I don't know politics at all. Who is this Trump guy? Are you talking about the real estate mogul who had that TV show? I am so impartial. Couldn't find me 1,000 miles around any kind of radical politics. You know what I mean? Yeah, you just say one thing. You say, I only listen to Lex Fridman. Then they know you are the most center. You are the most centrist man on the planet. I am Lex Fridman, the most mathematically centrist person. There was actually a caveat in the juror selection. You had to be racist against white people is true. No.
To adult film star Stormy Daniels through his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, in what prosecutors say was an attempt to stop an alleged past affair from becoming a scandal just before the 2016 presidential election. Trump has denied both the affair and making the payments.
President, did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels?
Lies. Dude, it is such a funny situation to be in. The punishment is not that severe in general. It is such an obvious open and shut case in general, considering that your lawyer already was sentenced to prison for it. The main guy who is now the star witness against you in the court proceedings literally already served a prison sentence. What the are we talking about? The fact that people are still confused about this, where they're like, oh, well, it's like blah, blah, blah. Like, sure, you can say that it's like minor. And this is the most like meaningless, I guess, case, because the other ones are genuinely much more meaningful. But yeah, that guy is the star witness in this case. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? That's your lawyer. You paid him, Stormy Daniels, hush money. Now, the only way out of this in a former proceeding similar to this one, a mismanagement of campaign funds, the only way out of this, at least from one angle, would be to say that you are actually doing this because you wanted to hide the truth from your wife. It wasn't about hiding the truth from the public, because the public would have actually found out and would have gotten mad. You were just trying to simply hide the fact that you paid a porn star hush money from your wife. But that doesn't make any sense, because like just paying hush money alone is one thing. Showing that as a legal fee instead of just like showing that as hush money is a way to try to shelter the truth from the public, specifically because it's not like your wife is going to look through your books. Like, is that the argument, that like Melania was going to look through your accounting and find out that you paid Michael Cohen this like weird amount of money at this certain date? Like, it's just dumb as what happened to the election interference case that was going against him? What happened to that? Genuinely feel like nothing's going to happen to him and it will only make him more popular. The election interference case, the federal one, is still ongoing. I mean, it's slated to happen, and so is the Georgia case. But obviously, when you're very rich, or at least like have enough people that will offer legal counsel to you because you're the former president for political reasons or because of, you know, clout related reasons, it doesn't really matter. You can hold that as much as you possibly can. Yeah, he also delayed the payment until after the election because he's such a nickel and dimer, because he thought he wouldn't have to pay after the election because he wouldn't give a about like people knowing that he a porn star post-election. So it directly on two different fronts implies that he was mismanaging campaign funds, and also on top of that doing this as a way to like shelter the truth. I mean, as a way to like hide the truth in the public. But again, the legal repercussions for such a thing are minor. It's only elevated to a felony partially due to Donald Trump himself, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I think there's like some about state law.
Attorneys with the Manhattan DA's office asked the judge to hold the former president in contempt for violating a gag order. A hearing on that will be held later this month.
It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt.
Throughout the day, Trump sent out a blizzard of fundraising appeals blasting the case and criticized the judge for not allowing him to attend a U.S. Supreme Court hearing next week on his presidential immunity claims.
He thinks he's superior, I guess, to the Supreme Court. We got a real problem with this, Judge.
They want all Republicans for jurors? Yeah, that's the only way we can have a impartial jury. How come every judge we have a problem with? Yeah, I mean, everybody knows all the judges are woke. Even the Trump appointed judges at the federal courts that allowed the investigation into the mishandling of classified documents. There's not a single judge in the goddamn nation that isn't anti-Trump, dude. It's so up.
Court said he seemed to be falling asleep in court yesterday. Was he bored?
Whatever he was doing, he was closing his eyes, dipping his chin. Some there say he was sleeping, others say he was being performative. Whatever it was Trump, and he was showing he was dismissive of the proceedings.
Just resting his eyes for a moment.
Well, there's an adrenaline factor.
Haters, bro. He's just EP. He's just a EP boy. He's just a EP boy, okay? What can a man do when a miscarriage of justice is happening in a country that he loves so much, that he's given his all to? What can a man do but close his eyes and dream of a better tomorrow, a better future where America isn't a banana republic, engaging in a real criminal trial, but the people who should be put on that stand are actually the Democrats themselves?
And that number, by the way, is 87% voted for Joe Biden among the population that is the jury pool being drawn from. It's a big number.
Speaking of Joe Biden, you might not be able to use that Sleepy Joe diss if it's true that he fell asleep in court.
I didn't realize the media was trying to do the actually Trump is the sleepy one narrative with this whole like he was EP in court. That's awesome. I genuinely did not realize that was like the ulterior motive here. That makes sense. That's cool. Yeah. When people say like sleepy Joe Biden, they mean like he actually is honk shoeing and memeing and not because he's like his brain capacity is deteriorated very publicly. That's what they meant, literally. Neither Fox News nor Fox Business has mentioned reports of Trump falling asleep in court today. Yeah, because who gives a like, what do you mean? Wow, I can't believe they didn't cover that. It really shows bias, which they are, obviously, but like, this is the funniest way to complain about bias. The photos in this tweet kill me, like they're trying to make him look hot. A father not being able to attend his son's graduation is heartless and evil. This is beyond unfair and unjust. What's your reaction to the judge's actions today? The graduation is in May, by the way. I thought that was weird that he said that. So his son's not even graduating yet? That makes it so much funnier. Every guy who's behind on child support payments is complaining about Trump not being able to attend his tall son's graduation. Some court sketches are subpar. This one, though, is perfect. Oh, dude, he looks so evil. That's awesome. When is the televised trial? The unfortunate problem with the televised trial is that it's up to the Georgia judge right now. Would it being televised help or hurt him? Both. I will not elaborate. No, I'm kidding. It does. It helps him because he's on camera and his fans love seeing like crumbs. You know what I mean? His stands need Trump crumbs, Trumpy crumbs, but it actually is hurting him as well because the broadest majorities are worried about him being corrupt, are worried about him being like undemocratic. So every moment that you remember that he is like doing crimes, and there is nothing more reminiscent of you doing crimes than you being in a courtroom in a televised trial, is a moment that like so many of these people who are older voters in the suburbs who are just like, oh, I would vote for Trump, but I hate the aesthetics. Like those guys are reminded once again as to why they hate Trump. Does that make sense? And I think it is a net negative in general. His stands are going to be excited that there are crumbs out here for the Trump stands, for the Trump heads. The people that have a lot of distaste for his like aesthetics will be reminded once again that he's just like a bad dude. He's bad for business.
What was everyone doing when they realized, like you at that point, that you were likely a part of the Trump jury trial pool of people? Were people talking amongst themselves? Was there kind of a buzz in the air?
You could feel that people were starting to realize it, but people weren't talking amongst themselves nearly as much as I expected. Weirdly enough, I think everyone had a sense of kind of uncertainty over what the protocols were in this situation, and so no one really felt like they should mention it.
Bro, I'm sorry, but if I'm Trump's defense attorney, the one look at her and I'm like, nope. One look at her and I'm like, absolutely not. Okay, this person 100% cares about abortion. There is no shot I'm letting her anywhere near that jury stand, dude. She's not sitting there.
Did he make eye contact with you?
Yes. Yeah.
What was that like?
Odd. It's, you know.
He was staring you down to be like, get her out. Get that woman out of here. I already know she listens to NPR and has 2 cats. Okay? No shot. Get her out of here. She has ovaries. Okay. Big mistake. Nobody with ovaries comes anywhere near, especially in the state of New York. We cannot have a single person with ovaries on that jury. You cannot have that. You can't be doing that. God, I would love to be on that jury duty. That would have been so fire.
There are 2 attorneys from big law firms and a grandfather from Puerto Rico who called Trump fascinating and mysterious, saying he walks into a room and he sets people off one way or another.
Oh my God, they did it. They did the damn thing. They found the best guys.
A young software engineer at Disney pledged, "I will be fair and impartial." The judge wasn't so sure about other potential jurors, excusing a man who once posted about Trump, "Get him out and lock him up." At a campaign stop after court, Trump was asked whether he thinks the ones who were chosen will be fair.
I'll let you know after the trial.
This is going to go. We bought her really bad. Wait, why? This case isn't supposed to be about like locking him in jail anyway. This is literally a minor one in comparison to the much more severe court cases that he's looking at right now, which unfortunately, as things stand, are not moving so that like Trump may be on trial come election season.
$130,000 payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels just before the 2016 election so he could silence her long denied claim of a sexual liaison.
Yes, his lawyer did go to jail for this already, which is why it's like pretty funny when you think about like how much emphasis is being placed on this trial and how like political the outcomes will be. And it's like, dude, what the do you mean? The key witness has already served his prison sentence for the actions that he took while he was under the employment of the current person being prosecuted criminally.
I was paying a lawyer and marked it down as a legal expense. Some accountant, I didn't know, marked it down as a legal expense. That's exactly what it was.
He didn't know is such a funny take because he literally said we shouldn't pay her until after the election.
And you get indicted over that?
Dude, the famous I didn't know defense. Yes, dude, fingers crossed there's a HasanAbi head on the jury. That would go so hard. That's all I'm saying, dude. If one of you made your way through, oh God, that'd be so sick. That'd be so goddamn sick.
Rick McDowell is someone else we met last year in Roberts County. He told us then he liked Ron DeSantis.
If Donald Trump is found guilty of a criminal charge, do you think he's fit to be president of the United States?
He's as fit as the current president.
These guys have 4 to 6 points more IQ than you. It's probably 24 to 26.
Nobody investigates Joe Biden. Nobody's going to investigate Joe Biden.
What people don't realize is that the fact that I allowed Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg to die in the last night's episode of The Walking Dead means that this case will not continue with him leading the helm. None of these people know that yet. Sorry. So unfortunately, that is a big deal.
How do you address that conflict? How do you vote for a man who you feel so poorly about?
I feel like as wrong as it's going to be to have him for president, he's still going to be a lot better president for the United States than what we got with Joe Biden and the Democrats.
I love that these guys are doing lesser evil voting, but because their values are all kinds of up, their lesser evil voting means like doing more evil. Only one side has the balls to do the evil deeds necessary to save America, the American whites. And that's why I'm engaging in lesser evil voting by voting for Donald Trump.
Listen, does it surprise you that some of the voters Gary spoke to don't think...
Why is my man in Tel Aviv? What do you mean? He's defending Israel, bro. That's why he's in Tel Aviv.
There's this recent Reuters Ipsos poll showing that 24% of Republicans would not vote for Trump if he's convicted of a felony by a jury. Do you think the Trump campaign is taking that number seriously? And do you think that's even true? I mean, people may say that to a pollster, but when it gets down to be a binary choice, like some of the people there, they say they'll vote for him anyway.
So listen, this number models CNN and CBS exit polls as well from the primary that quite a large sum of Republicans would have an issue supporting Donald Trump if he was a convicted felon. But what I would be interested to see is if it was when it's specific to the hush money trial and after we see this trial play out.
I don't think this hush money trial is going to move the needle in either direction for either Trump supporters or even like Trump haters, because this one is just like not that important, not that significant. The other two trials, both the federal one and the Georgia one, directly pertain to his actions against the top of the hour ad break, which really moves the needle in this community. I mean, I guess it'll make some drama. It also stops Trump from campaigning, even though he hasn't been like campaigning all that much anyway this time around, because he has like 100% name recognition. It's not like people in the heartland are like, who's this Trump guy? let me make my mind up on him. Only if I go and watch one of his campaign rallies, then I'll be able to make my mind up on this Trump guy. I'm a little iffy on him otherwise. What does he believe?
The facts of this case, as we know, it's campaign finance, it's about business records, but some of the more salacious aspects, which I think we're going to hear about as the trial starts to get into motion, the allegations, obviously, of cheating on his wife when she was pregnant, things like that stay in the mind of the voter, and I think they sit worse with women.
Yeah, famously, a lot of people cared. A lot of white women cared when he said grab him by the pussy. They cared in the other direction, where 52% of white women famously voted for him in the 2016 election. The idea that this will certainly do it. Like, no, man, Christians have shown their asses so many times. If you are an evangelical, a hyper religious, quote unquote, fake religious person like that, you don't give a you care about the chaos that he's engaging in. You care about him punishing your enemies, you know, gay people, the real moral degenerates. You yourself, of course, are not a moral degenerate. And your arbiter of truth and justice is also not a moral degenerate. After all, he's actually doing evil acts to your ontologically evil enemies. I don't think normal people care about this at all. I don't think a lot of normies about the election one way or the other, and I don't think they care about this trial at all. There are a lot of libs who watch this because they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna get a little bit of justice finally, like the orange man. But I don't think normal people on either side give a about this trial. Like, you got to be a little weird to care about this a lot. Maybe the normie liberals aren't as like sweaty and as gross as the Republicans that you just saw. I don't think like the average American gives all that much of a shit